Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV podcast. We are right slap bang in the middle of pre-season, apparently, given that it hadn't even started last week, but here we go, we're right in the middle of it. I'm your host Paul Machin, I'm joined by Ben Kelly, by John Machin, and the returning superstar, the man, the legend, Chris Machin.
Yeah. Mate, it's been like a month since we've done a show together.
Yeah, it's mad.
It's madness.
It's very weird indeed. But yeah, welcome to the new world order, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be diving into some Liverpool topics. We're going to be talking about the first pre-season game. We're going live with this right now. So if you're joining us live, you can interact with us in the comments. If you're a Redmen member, you can use those custom emotes, and there's a few other benefits which I will explain to you in a little bit. But yes, know that if you're watching this from like 6 p.m. on Tuesday onwards, yes, this is before the second pre-season game, hence the middle. It doesn't matter that much. Right, the kick-off question comes from Donkey Jeg. I did copy and paste that straight in. I didn't pre-read that, and then when I went to read it, I was like, is there something hidden in this name? It doesn't appear to be. I've said it. I think we're okay. If you could select one LFC player to be Prime Minister, who would it be and why, Mr. Chris Pajak?
I really wish I'd have looked at this one. I really wish I'd looked at all the questions now. I'm going to go with Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Okay.
I think we just need more Scousers in power.
Yeah.
Just generally speaking, like, you know, you don't get enough Scousers on the telly box or anything, do you? Like, Jamie Carragher is the outlier, isn't he there? And so for me, I want a Scouse Prime Minister. I want someone who's going to think about our city first and foremost, and then sort the rest of them out, you know what I mean? But ultimately, we need to sort Liverpool out, and to do that, we need a Scouse Prime Minister. Trent Alexander-Arnold for Scouse Prime Minister.
Absolutely. I'm not sure he's got the swagger for it. Maybe like him and Curtis set a partnership, prime ministerial partnership. I know there's no great example. Yeah, we've got options there. I mean, the only issue is that if him or Curtis did it, I would have to make sure they learned how to say as well first before they infect the entire nation with as well, which is insane. Right, Dad, who would you be having as your Liverpool player Prime Minister?
Well, I must take the opportunity to say that anyone would do a better job than's currently being done.
Yes,
I'll toy with the idea of Ox because he's so articulate.
Yeah.
But in the end, I think I'd go with Robbo. A nice little Scot who will put everyone in their place.
Yeah.
Keep the union together because, he's Scottish. And I think he'd be a good guy.
And if he fucks everything up catastrophically, we can be reminded that he's Scottish and not English as well, like Andy Murray.
Yeah. And he plays on the left as well, so that's good.
Getting a Scot in, a lefty Scot, it might be the only thing that saves this country.
Think of the amount of Tories that would rattle. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Just think about it. Yeah. And he'd tell everybody to piss off if he needed to.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He's fearless, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Ben?
I'd love to look at his expenses and just see Iron Brew and battered Mars bars everywhere on his expenses form.
Square sausages.
Yeah.
I wonder whether James Milner's shouting at Simicast the other day was his party political broadcast.
Yeah.
The job.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to hear them say "fuck off, Bojo." Would be absolutely fine. Ben, who are you picking?
For some reason, I hadn't seen the question either. I just can't get the image of Joel Matip stood in number 10 out of my head. I just think a tall, gangly guy, bit goofy, but not as goofy as Boris Johnson, and just him in a suit, just sort of giving us facts on coconuts as we saw on that advert a few months back. I think that as John says, I think that's a much better job than what's being done at the moment. I'd go for that. I'd vote for that.
I like the idea of like every time he steps on stage, they have to readjust the camera, because he's just there. He just walks in and he's just cut off here every single time he comes on. So he comes on, they raise it up, and then he just goes like, "Hi." The immediate shout was for me was to go to someone like James Milner. Actually stuck out to me straight off the bat, but he's not charismatic enough in his own way. But he would have. I think he was following.
He's a bit Keir Starmer.
I was just thinking that, John. He absolutely is.
Yeah, he would be good. Look, again, if we wanted to get Labour in power, James Milner would be the right way to go about doing it, because look, he's white and English. He's very white and English for a start, which means that there's a lot of people who'll win over with that. But also, yeah, he's not got enough charisma, or, to really truly, to stare or rile people up and nothing away. And he's smart and he's experienced and he's hard working. He's got all the right kind of characteristics you want for all of that kind of stuff. But I think what you need as well is, I think you need to have a little bit more about you, visually, and that in that instance I would step up to Hendo. I mean, talk about completing your career. I think I think he's going to go. He'll win Sports Personality of the Year and then go and be Prime Minister. I think that'll be absolutely a splendid.
He will. Do you reckon he'll win Sports Personality of the Year?
Probably not now, but I think if it had been like 6 months ago, I think he might have done.
I think if it had been 6 months ago, it would have been Captain Tom.
Yeah, true.
It was the only fucking sport going on at one point. He was the only person in the running.
Yeah, definitely.
In the running.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, okay. We are going to plow on with the podcast. Thanks everyone who's joined us again live on YouTube with us right now. If you're listening after the fact, you're great too. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I will remind those of you alive though, you can join up to Redmen TV memberships on YouTube. It's very, basically similar to what we do on the redmentv.com. It's a membership scheme which helps you support what we do. But you get it on YouTube is you get access to custom emotes to use in our live streams. And for tier 2 and tier 3, which is Club Captain and Club Legend, I'm gonna for the visual use, I'm going to stop pulling a face whenever I do that, because I do know the answer. And like I'm trying to script out from my memory somewhere. Club Captain and Club Legend levels get access to additional content. You get the Reds Transfer Roundup show, which we're recording later today. We got last week's one there for you as well, so you get additional bonus content for you, and you get to support what we do. You're wonderful for doing just that. And we have got a season documentary which we will be plugging a little bit later in the show as well. Okay, I want to kick things off. I want to talk about pre-season. Dad, we were having a little chat about this yesterday, so I thought it was interesting enough to kind of take to the group, as it were. But one thing I said was it was so weird to watch a Liverpool pre-season game where we had all our best lads pretty much on the pitch, with obvious exceptions through injury and what have you. But we started Mohamed Salah, Roberto Firmino and Sadio Mane in the first pre-season game. Normally we're watching cobbled together teams and going, oh, is this going to be Ryan Kent's year? To actually see Liverpool put out a good team and have them be good was actually a really pleasant way to start pre-season, as it were.
Yeah, I was actually quite surprised. I mean, it's unprecedented, isn't it? And it's a pity you couldn't really see it, could you? You had a Klopp's eye view of the game, which how they cope with that, I don't know.
Yeah.
I suppose it just shows how close we are to playing proper games. We've got a game against Arsenal next week, which clearly you'll want to win regardless. It's a trophy.
Yeah.
It's still a pre-season friendly, but still you don't want to be playing your reserves against Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
So we're up and at it already. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as I say, he sprung a surprise and threw the 18-year-old centre back on at the end, just to confuse me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it was just a bizarre world, wasn't it? But really comforting. I think back last pre-season we were all a little bit stressed out by Liverpool's actions and what have you, because we didn't see the front three. I mean, Mane doesn't even come back till the season starts. It wasn't until we played Lyon where Bobby and Salah came back that everyone went, oh, actually it's fine. That's cut away all of that this time around.
Yeah. Obviously, I was surprised on what day was it? What day are we on? We're on Tuesday. It was Sunday, wasn't it? Saturday. It was one of those days. Anyway, when you see the team, and it is an eyebrow raiser, isn't it? Seeing all the top lads play, but then obviously what that means is that you're guaranteed seeing the likes of like Minamino and obviously the new fella in the second half as well, because and they're the ones who are a little bit more interested in the narrative, if you like, in terms of you want to see how Minamino's progressed, and you want to see what the new lad looks like. And obviously 45 minutes each is enough to sort of get a little taste for that. I think obviously we're playing Salzburg today, aren't we? I think the plan will probably be to give the best lads an hour, and then obviously swap it after an hour and give them a little bit more minutes, and then obviously you're straight into Arsenal. Then on Saturday it's just relentless, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and it was an interesting one for a player like Kurt Jones, for example, Chris, because with no Jordan Henderson and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, we know he's going to miss all pre-season, probably the start of the season as well. There's a big chance for Curtis there. All of a sudden, a little pathways opened up to him, and I thought it was quite encouraging that he was started in that main team in the first half.
Absolutely, and for me, he looked bigger, and it's only been like fucking 5 weeks or something since the last time I saw him play football. But he looked like he was taller. He looked like he was thicker, and he looked like he was more almost Premier League ready, for want of a better phrase. And as you say, it's encouraging that he's in there. He gets an assist as well, doesn't he, for Bobby's goal? I think it's the first one Kirk gets the assist for. So he's in and around it, and we know that he's got a good chance. And he didn't look like a youngster. That's the biggest credit I can give him, and he hasn't done for a while now. He's looked like a first teamer, and maybe he's at that point where I think Kurt Jones naturally in this squad is a squad player, but I think he's striving to be more than that, and I think he's got the ability to be more than that. And I think that this season is going to be a very big season for him. We obviously saw Ryan Brewster go out on loan last season. Kurt stayed around, as did Nico Williams. And for me now, if I'm looking at the three of them, a couple of years ago you'd said Brewster's going to be the first one into the team. Well, right now it looks like Kurt Jones is going to be sub 12 or 13, and I think. And I think there is a route into the side for him. I think he can force his way in, and the injury to Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain might just be it. That might be a sliding doors moment. I think any young player needs something like that in his career, and it's unfortunate for the likes of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, for anybody else, but you need to get into the team somehow, some way. Trent did it with Nathaniel Klein's injury, and he hasn't given that place up to the point where Nathaniel Klein's left the football club now. It's dog eat dog in football, and right now Kurt Jones is snapping at the heels of the first team.
Yeah, and these moments are important. It's interesting that you see him and he takes the field and he's got his new number. And you're right, I think he looks a bit bigger. I wonder whether everyone looks bigger. It's that kit. I just wonder whether the way it's cut, it makes everyone just look.
Or the angle of the camera, like John was saying.
Yeah, know what I mean? Low angle.
We're not seeing it from miles and miles away on a wide angle lens anymore.
Yeah, it's a worm's eye view. We're getting of the pitch there.
I like the fact that he brings us something totally different. He's got an imagination in his game, and I love that he's someone who will do something no one else is expecting. It opens up defences. That's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, no, it is, and you see how players are primed, don't you, Dad? And there's that 17 shirt. You just got to rewind. Steve McManaman's number. Did Gerrard wear 17 for a bit as well? There's. Whether I think he's the kind of lad who has that stuff in his head. He's always been very, very confident, and it's sometimes you just need opportunity to present itself. I think Restart presented him with an opportunity that he probably wouldn't have had otherwise. I think he took that really, really well. And now, having had that, we talked about how that Restart might benefit those young lads. Well, we might get to see it firsthand because, okay, look, Gini Wijnaldum's there. So Gini and Naby are probably still, Fabinho is probably still our first choice midfield three. But Kurt has got, he's got another week. He's got the Community Shield as well. And you might well see by the time the season kicks off, if not the opener against Leeds, certainly in the first 3 games of the season, I wouldn't be surprised to see Curtis Jones starting a game for us in the Premier League.
I would. I would, and for all I've just said about Kurt Jones knocking on the door and stuff, I think this pre-season is just so different to anything we've seen before. It's uncharted territories, isn't it? And, I think he'd deserve a start if he gets one in the first 3, but I think Klopp's going to try and put a marker down very, very early this season, just like last season. It's almost best team for as long as you can. Now, I don't know how long that is. I think it's shorter than normal. Normally you might get 10, 12 games. I think you're going to have to start rotating a little bit earlier than that. But certainly first 3, I think I would be slightly surprised. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I would be surprised.
What about you, Ben?
I think the problem with that is, I agree in the sense he's going to have to start rotating early, because obviously the way it's going to work is particularly when the European games kick in, it is that there's a European game every week. So suddenly then, obviously, you want to make sure, I don't know when the Champions League draw is, but obviously you need to make sure you get through that, because you can still get the likes of Barcelona and Borussia Dortmund in your group, even though we're in pot 1. So you need to make sure you're getting through that. But I think, actually, at the moment, in terms of squad depth for midfield, I think Liverpool are probably best set in the whole of the league, especially given that Silva's just left Manchester City and Fernandinho's aging. I mean, how many quality midfielders at the moment? If you take the Oxlade-Chamberlain when he's fit, at the moment, we've got at least 6 quality midfielders if you count Jones as well. So I think we're really well stocked in that area. And then you've got obviously. You arguably got the addition of Thiago coming in, and we don't know exactly what's going on there.
He's coming in him. He's coming in him.
Oh, I'm having it now.
I'm having it. We're having him.
But what I mean is when you're looking at the second string midfield, if you like, Curtis Jones, as you say, he's not out of place there. So when we do start rotating, and those choices have to be made by Klopp, and suddenly it comes to a Saturday, and we've got like Brighton at home, and he's rotating the midfield, and Curtis Jones is in there. You're not raising an eyebrow, really. You're not going, oh well, I'm not so sure about that, because he's probably at the level now where if he's making sporadic appearances, then he's going to be fine.
And we know, don't we, with the subs this season that he's going to make more changes than he has done in the past in game. I think that actually might limit Kurt's starts. Might not limit his minutes too much, but I think it might limit his starts a little bit.
Sorry, what do you mean by the subs?
So the subs are still 5 subs, aren't they, this season?
No, they've been it.
Oh, lovely, jubbly. Oh.
I know, that's what I thought, yeah. A couple of weeks back now, yeah.
Oh, lovely. You can tell I haven't been on Twitter since before I went away. It's been magic, by the way.
I mean, I think if anyone has benefited from the lockdown, it's Naby. He's come back in and he's hit the ground running, and he looks nailed on for a start with Fabinho. So we're only talking about one place.
Yeah,
and whether you think Ginny can fit that place instead of Hendo, I don't know, and that's where Curtis Jones might get his place.
I suppose you look at the fixture. Looking at the fixture run that Liverpool have got. Obviously, we've got the Community Shield on Saturday against Arsenal. Then you've got the international break, but then Leeds and Chelsea are separated by a week. So you'd imagine we're able to go full strength for that. You've then got a Carabao Cup game. 2 Carabao Cup games with Arsenal in between, which follows. So it might be a case of you might be dead right there, Chris, and it might be that the team actually he doesn't get a start in the first 3, but don't be shocked if Curtis Jones is 100% nailed on for the first Carabao Cup appearance, and if we get through that round, the next round is literally the week after. So it's the Curtis Jones, James Milner midfield axis is ready to take over League Cup football.
Did I read somewhere, that European teams weren't going to be in the League Cup this season, or was that idea scrapped?
That's certainly not the case at the moment.
Right.
They're not normally in the first round, are they?
Yeah, Champions League then doesn't start till the 20th of October, so we've got a bit of spell. But yeah, it's interesting that do obviously the ones that we've seen from the first pre-season games, the centre back thing, Ben, and I wonder whether there was anything to it, because we've not seen Liverpool heavily linked with any centre halves, although Dejan Lovren's got out. It was an interesting point on the Reds transfer roundup show last week. Sam Walker made this about Nat Phillips. He said people are talking about Ben White, and people are saying Liverpool need to go and buy Ben White because he had a really good season for Leeds in getting promoted. Nat Phillips, this is Sam's argument, not one I think is 100% bulletproof, but he's just gotten promoted as a centre half from a second tier league into a top tier, and we're talking about this, so I don't necessarily think Nat Phillips is the answer, but it is telling maybe that he stayed on for the full second half, but it was Vandenberg and Kumetio who kind of got half a half each.
I think for Klopp, look, we don't know how much the transfers are being affected by the pandemic, if at all, but I imagine they are. I think Klopp's looking at his centre-back situation. He's going, actually, Virgil's, touch wood, Virgil's pretty solid in terms of his injury record. So, you can pretty much count on him. And then, Gomez is a bit inconsistent. Matip's a bit inconsistent. But then below that, you've got Fabinho, who can play at centre-back. And then if he's happy with what he's seeing from the likes of Matt Phillips, I'm still not sold on Van den Berg. But then you've also got this Kumetio, who seems to have come out of nowhere and is all the rage suddenly. So you've got a nice mix of them. Suddenly, if you've got say Joe Gomez out for a couple of games, then what I'm saying is the chances of having both Joe Gomez and Matip injured for a sustained long period of time at the same time, he's probably thinking is quite slim. And then if you add Fabinho on top of that, who can play centre-back, to have all three of them out at one point for a sustained amount of time, he's probably thinking is pretty unlikely. So then below that, that's when Nat Phillips steps up. And I think he's probably happy to take that risk as it stands, given the situation this summer.
it's probably the most obvious answer, really, isn't it? That in this world is that Ben's right. It'll be Fabinho would play centre half, and probably Nat Phillips would play centre half in that order. Actually, before we saw Sepp Vandenberg or Billy Cometio, but let's use Cometio as an example because in his quarter of a game cameo, against Stuttgart, I think he did enough for everyone. Like Ben said, he's come out of nowhere almost. 17 years old, just looks a good player because he looks boss for his age.
How many of them have we seen in pre-season before, and then you don't see them ever again?
Yeah.
I mean, the worry for me about centre-backs is if you look at us now, Matip's injured, and he's injured a lot. Gomez isn't ever injury-free. He's always seems to be picking something up. If Gomez went down this weekend, we're left with Virgil van Dijk and Nat Phillips.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not too sure that's good enough to go into a brand new season. And it worries me. And Fabinho, I don't want him as a centre-back. I think the odd game, fair enough.
Yeah.
But I want him as our holding midfield player.
Yeah.
So, we're light at centre-back. And centre-backs seem to get injured, apart from Van Dijk, who's like on a
Don't say it. Don't say it.
No, he's just on a different plane.
Yeah, it is.
Centre-backs are the most vulnerable. Apart from full-backs actually get injured a lot as well. But centre-backs, we always seem to have centre-backs out injured.
Yeah.
Do you think, I'm not saying it is, but do you think this is part of his thinking in terms of the Thiago move, in terms of Thiago can play in the six, and he's thinking he's maybe getting two players for the price of one, because if he needs to flush Fabinho back to centre-back, then he can put Thiago in the six and it's not a problem.
Yeah, I think I do think that's the thinking on that, and because I think we have this notion of like we're going to see Fabinho at centre half. I don't think we really will. I think it would take exceptional circumstances for us for that to happen. I don't think there's going to be a spell of unless you had a mega injury. There's not likely to be a 10-game spell where you're seeing Fabinho playing centre half. Probably. I'm saying this. I've got no idea. This might all be part of a massive, a signing of a Thiago could be a complete revamp of how Liverpool play football. You just don't know. But adding one more player in there gives you players elsewhere. It's like buying Tsimikas gives you Milner back for midfield. More than he will. It means all of a sudden he's not playing those 6 games at left back anymore, which means he's just more available for rotation in the midfield. And that doesn't sound like much, but it's all. There's just the spreadsheets of percentages and these all little minutes are being plugged in elsewhere. You can probably cover it with a clever way rather than anything else. But just
sorry, mate. I don't want to see Fabinho at centre half for a start, and I think we might be doing the defenders a bit of a disservice there to suggest that Fabinho can do 10 games in it, because the way that Liverpool play this high line, that is worked on in training. They have to be perfectly in sync with each other, the two centre halves, to suggest for a minute that Fabinho can just drop in and do it alongside Virgil van Dijk, I think discredits the defenders, if I'm honest with you. I think they work incredibly hard to play one of the best lines in world football right now. And, they have to work on that in training each and every week. Yes, he can do it for the odd game. I'm not suggesting he can't. But I think when you're going into a sustained spell of tough Premier League football week in, week out, I want to see a defender in there that's training with the defenders on that type of stuff.
Yeah, but if you but this is the issue we're at this point, isn't it? Is without having signed anyone or without seeing us signing anyone, you're bringing someone who doesn't know how to do that. And I wonder
at least they've got the time and the space to develop that part of their game. So if you were to bring a £10 million defender in, he's training with the defenders, he's training on the lines, he's training with the centre halves, he knows what his job is. Fabinho's training as a midfielder each and every week. You know what I mean? That's my point. Is so actually, yes, pure ability wise, Fabinho's probably better than Nat Phillips. But there is something for knowing the system, having played with the lads, having trained with them week in, week out over the course of the last 3 years, give or take, with his loan moves and stuff. So I'd rather see a defender step in and be the defender. And especially when we're talking about signing somebody to then free up Fabinho to be a defender. It's like we've literally got a defender there. You don't want to sign a midfielder to free up a midfielder to be a defender.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't, you know what I mean? Just sign a fucking defender, lads.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
Yeah. But I mean, again, these are the weird things. We have this every season. where we go, this is madness. What's he doing? Why was it? And we can't wrap our heads around it because of our understanding is based on what we've seen so far. I mean, God, remember Chris 3 years ago. I've had the references to the week. It was like me and Aubrey doing a show, and he couldn't wrap his head around that Milner was our left back. Yeah. And it was like, there's no way he's going to play left back. There's not a chance Milner plays left back, and he played left back like every game pretty much that season. And this is not a ideal world scenario. I don't think. I think the ideal world was keep Lovren for another year, all told, given the current climate.
Well, we may have seen more in Nat Phillips than we've seen so far.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the end of the day, he's had loan spells, hasn't he? So,
obviously the loan spells are designed for players to go out and get better. Maybe he's come back a better footballer. Wouldn't that be a shock? You know what I mean?
It certainly seemed that he did last time. Last pre-season, he came back and he looked a better player than previous as well.
Yeah. You just don't know, do you? And this is why it's fascinating about pre-season, is that we're taking our understandings from last year and the previous year and going, this will definitely be what it is. As I say, you sign Thiago. What if all of it? The plan might be to go. We've enjoyed Fabinho at DM, but actually we're going to play Thiago at DM, and Fabinho is going to become a centre half. It's probably not the case. What? Yeah, oh yeah, 43 every year without fail. But this is it, isn't it? Is that I don't think you look at Gomez's injury record. He's missed lots of football, but he didn't miss lots of football last season because he was injured. He missed he didn't play a lot to start the season because he was out of form, and he was recovering from injury from the previous season. To be fair, after
to start.
And Matip did, but he didn't do. Gomez started the season was poor. Matip came in, then Matip got injured, then Lovren came in and took the place and was really good. And then Gomez eventually gets his place and keeps his place and stays injury free for the whole season. Now there's still that gamble there because it's only a gamble while Matip is out. And it's how many games they'll know. Well, again, it's like down to sports science and down to all the experts. At the minute, we are weaker because Dejan Lovren is an international caliber centre half who's not in the squad anymore. So you're looking at those three other lads who are potential. And Nat Phillips, great. He came in, he was fine in the Merseyside derby. He's just had a loan at Stuttgart, which feels more encouraging when you look at it from that. They've just been promoted to the Bundesliga, so that's a bit more of an indication of a slightly higher quality than we probably felt when he was on that loan. And then you've got two 17-year-old lanky kids who may or may not be capable of doing anything, but equally, who knows? That Billy Cometio looks like a man. He's 6'5". Looks like he's got a good little range of power. Yeah, at this point, you never know. I think, as I say with anything, it's probably not a random thing. It is probably as simple as, because Klopp references Fabinho as a centre half on a number of occasions when he talks about our depth in that position. Or maybe it's just Jordan Henderson. Right, Jordan, you've won everything. You've had your run, mate. I'm dead sorry, but it's Milner, lads.
I promise you'll be a centre. You're not going to play left back. I didn't say you weren't going to play centre back.
I'm going to play you in the middle, mate. I promise I'll play you in the middle. He's going, I'm playing centre mid. He goes, no, you're playing centre.
To be fair, that one time we beat Brighton away with Emre Can and Wijnaldum as part of the back three, so I think we're pretty well set up. I think the disappointing thing, actually, I think the young lads are probably maybe the biggest victims of the pandemic in our squad in terms of, this period is their time to really try and shine, isn't it? Normally, the likes of Cometio and Phillips would probably, at the beginning of the year, say, when everything was normal, that had been eyeing up this summer as, this is the season for me to try and get there. And suddenly they've got two games and, Van Den didn't last 20 minutes and that's one of his chances gone.
I'm not sure he got hooked there, mate, to be fair. I think that was also it was like, he's been so poor, he's coming off. I think it's clearly an effort to get them a bit of game time. But, one thing that's interesting, because by the time this goes, a lot of people are seeing this, I think we'll have had an end to the question. And the question is, who is Liverpool's second choice goalkeeper? Because if Loris Karius doesn't play in the Salzburg game, then there's no chance that he's going to have any involvement as a Liverpool first choice goalkeeper this season, which is going to make a lot of people feel very, very relaxed indeed. But yeah, we'll know more. Obviously, we will be doing the Reds transfer roundup, stuff about Liverpool stuff off the pitch. That is going to be going live for all YouTube members this afternoon. So again, if you are a club captain or a club legend tier member on YouTube, then you can watch that show live and get access to it after the fact as well. Or if you just subscribe to the redmentv.com as well. If you're one of you're on the redmentv.com, you get access not just to that, but the audio versions of all the subscriber shows and loads of amazing additional content, features, interviews, and our 3-part documentary series is all up live and available to stream right now. We launched it on Friday, second part was Saturday, third part was Sunday, now it's Tuesday. It is all there for you. We've got a little trailer for you to peruse and see what you feel, and then of course go and subscribe to the redmentv.com to watch it.
You see the looks on people's faces, just so much passion for the club.
You can get that 3-part documentary series now on the redmentv.com. Just go over there and sign up. It is absolutely astoundingly good work. And there's loads of brilliant stuff there, including interviews with Liverpool players, past, present, and future.
Go on, say it.
Yeah. Right, okay, we're going to get back into some of the topics.
When's the Thiago interview coming out, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. We had a couple of things in the comments. Ashley Frith upgraded his membership to club captain. Yes, enjoy the Reds transfer roundup. What a superstar. Sham says, would you take Suarez back on a free? We will dive into that shortly, because we're going to have a topic about the Barcelona players who are available. But Ben, you want to talk about Phil Coutinho?
Yeah, when Bayern Munich won the Champions League on Sunday, and obviously, you look at them all with the trophy. By the way, I thought it was very, very odd seeing a goalkeeper lift the trophy. I thought that was really strange, but, either way. But Coutinho obviously won the Champions League, and I know obviously we've won the Champions League, and we've won the league, and we've won other things since he left, and it's all, it's all been pretty rosy for us. But obviously that is ultimately what he left the club to do. Probably not what he had in mind with Bayern Munich, but he wants to do it with Barcelona. But either way, I couldn't help but feel pretty happy for him, because he just, I think it helps that we've been successful since he's left. But now, he's gone on and he's won a treble and he's won the Champions League and all that. And I just wondered, what were other people's thoughts? In the end, I was like, yeah, go on, Phil. You do your thing. But I know some people will be bitter about it and be, still about all the back and all of that stuff. But for me, I was just happy to see him, be successful in the end.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I saw the photos of him with the European Cup, and he obviously he's had his part to play in it as well, which is a thing. It wasn't like Torres. I know Torres had the role to play in Chelsea winning it. I was still a bit bitter about the Torres thing, but I think you're right. I think Liverpool being good. I was thinking this about like Man United and Bayern Munich. In fact, that Bayern Munich have now won 6 European Cups, and there's a part of me that a couple of years ago I'd have been a bit annoyed by that, whereas I'm kind of not anymore, because we live in a world where Liverpool could quite easily go to 7. Within the next couple of years, we've got as good a chance of adding to that as any club that has on the planet right now. If I really thought about it, if I really wanted to be annoyed with Phil Coutinho, it's still there. I can still delve back into it. But I agree. It was the first time, and we've had this conversation a bazillion times, and whether we dive into it or not, I'm sure it will come up. But I wouldn't be asked. I wouldn't mind having him back now. I nothing because I'm all forgive him or whatever. I just care less about all the shit that went before. So yeah, you're right. I was quite happy to see him happy. Remember for the good times, and be happy that Liverpool are boss. So nothing else really pains me anymore.
John, do you want to go, or do you want me to go?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to say I didn't care.
There you go.
Didn't really think about him, to be honest. if he'd worn a Liverpool scarf at the end of it, like some of our ex-players have done when they've won the Champions League, I'd have maybe sat up and thought, "Oh, that's nice, Phil." Other than that, I didn't really think about him. He's past him. I'm over him.
Yeah.
If he came back, fine. I'd support him again. But as far as I'm concerned, he still always goes to the right and always goes to the right. And so.
Yeah.
I don't.
Drop
I don't
the shoulder,
care about
shoot,
Phil
repeat.
Coutinho, put it that way.
Yeah.
What I've realised about Phil Coutinho, and I'm very much like John, I didn't really care too much. I mean, if you had to push me into how I felt, there would have been a wry smile there for Phil, because he gave. I think what he gave to the football club was more than what happened at the end. And for 5 years, he was a bit of a model professional for us, and so he had credit in the bank there. I think for me, he's not a first team Bayern Munich player. He's not a first team Liverpool player anymore, because he doesn't work hard enough on the pitch for what those two sides want to achieve. They're the two best sides in world football, Liverpool and Bayern Munich, because they work harder than everybody and they've got the skill players to back it up. So for me, and I just realised that we're better than him now. And I think he thought a few years ago that he was better than us, and he was wrong and we were right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's probably why I can have that little wry smile, because I know at heart of heart, and I know what you're saying there, Paul, is right. He did have a little bit of something to say, but he'll have wanted more. He'll have wanted to start that game. He'll have wanted to start against Barcelona. He'll have wanted to be more than just Thomas Muller's backup, or the lad who got out of the team when Thomas Muller came in. The fact of the matter is, he's a squad player for Bayern Munich, and as much as he'll have enjoyed winning the European Cup, he will absolutely have preferred to be a 90-minute starter, and he wasn't.
Yeah.
One thing I would say about Phil Coutinho is he's proved really that Barca are no longer the team that could just steal all your players because they were that good and it was such a venue and a destination. I think that time's gone, and I think Phil Coutinho is the living proof. So I like him for that.
Yeah. There you go. Chris, yes. Barcelona's available players.
Well, one of them, really. I mean, I put the other three lads there because they were in the article that I was reading, but let's be honest, every Spanish newspaper, in fact, I think it was one of them had literally said he's already phoned Suarez. Koeman already phoned Suarez and said, you're out. And then every publication picked it up, and now they're all saying that Suarez, Rakitic, Vidal and Umtiti are all being shown the door, while Coutinho is being welcomed back with open arms, which is quite interesting. But look, I'm not really interested whether you're going to take Rakitic, Vidal and Umtiti. I want to know whether you're going to take Suarez back if you can on a free. And, would he still have something in the locker for us at 33 years old? John, I'm going to start with you, mate.
No, I wouldn't have him back, and not because I didn't love the bones of him. And for a while there, he's one of the three best players in the world. I still think he's a brilliant forward. His record is absolutely phenomenal. He's up there with Ronaldo and all the rest of them. But he comes with so much baggage in the English game. They did such a job on him. It's a bit like what they've done with Corbyn, all the bad press, everything about him. And that would just come with him. And I just don't think we need it. That's as simple as that. It's not about football. Yeah. It's about everything else.
Yeah, I mean, we did this last week about Suarez, and I said at the time, like, I love him, and I think he fits in with our squad mentality. I think this notion that he would upset squad harmony, I completely disagree with that, because he's a lad who goes in and he gives 110% in everything that he does. And when you're looking at like the players that we've got there, Minamino doesn't become a worse player for playing around Luis Suarez, and Brewster doesn't become a worse player for playing around Luis Suarez. You get better for being around players of that caliber, and the fact that you've got him in a category of his career now where he wouldn't be starting every game anyway. There's a nice, like, there's a potential. I mean, he'd still be on stupid wages, but let's park all that for the fun of it all. Is like there's a money ball value to someone who adds imperceptible value to your squads, and that is, again, in training, he doesn't allow levels to drop, and having someone who's got all the medals, all the experience, and that level of talent as well, parking the side, and I'm sure it'll be brought up because it was brought up when we've discussed it previously. The baggage, you've got there's all the racism stuff that goes with it, which I would not like to see brought up again, to be honest, because it's a very dark period in Liverpool's history in and around how we handled the Suarez stuff. But if you judge him as a footballer, Chris, if this was Footy Manager, there's no world in which I'm not signing Luis Suarez on a free transfer.
Lad, I'm Cardiff manager in my save and I signed Andy Carroll, so let's be honest. I mean, a 33-year-old Luis Suarez, for everything that you've just said to him about the football side of things, iron sharpens fucking iron, and he's in there training every day. Stephen Gerrard was talking on a Sky Sports podcast the other day about how he showed disrespect almost for Jamie Carragher in training, because he'd go in with fucking elbows to Carragher, who played at the club for 15 years or something by the time Suarez had got there. And he's there, and that's what you want to see. You want to see players improve in training and on the game, and he wouldn't let levels drop. You're absolutely right, Paul. But I can't see past John's point. I think when it comes down to it, there's too much there. There's too much risk. Not of upsetting the apple cart, because I don't think that's it. But I'm a bit like, I'd love him as a football player. If it was a 33-year-old whose name wasn't Luis Suarez, who had all the attributes of Luis Suarez, I'd take him every day of the week. But it is Luis Suarez, and therefore I'd be a little reticent to take it. Ben, what about you, mate?
I said this last week. I just think we've moved. I think we've moved past him. I think Paul said one week we were talking about City and Messi, and he was saying, that City have reached breaking point, or like a point of desperation if they throw in a bid for Messi. I feel like this would be Liverpool, if we needed to be. This would be Liverpool's equivalent of that, where if we at the moment had a struggling squad that wasn't anywhere near the top, and we just needed some kind of inspiration somewhere, it would just be that we'll just throw all the money that we've got at Luis Suarez to see if we can get another couple of good years out of him. I just don't think right now, the way the squad's set up, I just don't think we need that. I think we've got experience in every position. Let's not forget that these guys now, they're all league winners and they're all European Cup winners. They're all they're all experienced players in their own right. And yeah, while some of the players like Minamino and Jones to an extent, and they're not detrimented by playing alongside Luis Suarez. They're also progressing pretty fine, playing with Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, and Roberto Firmino ahead of them. And I think that's absolutely where we're at the moment. I think Suarez at the moment, it would just be, I just don't like going backwards. Just in life in general, and I think that would be what Liverpool will be doing.
I watched 45 minutes of Takumi Minamino play pre-season since last week, and I'm just more relaxed. Well, just seeing Brewster back and seeing Minamino back and seeing the bits and pieces. But yeah, if it was just if I didn't have to worry about all the things that go around it, it'd be mad not to. Because if he's going to go and play for Ajax, and if he'd be happy to come in and be a squad member at Liverpool, then there's no one better in that bracket of we'll maybe want 20 odd games a season, maybe more. But you know what I mean. There's no one of his caliber available in that bracket on a free as well. There will be someone's going to get astonishing value out of Luis Suarez. I actually think it's interesting, because I think Ben's point is right. Is that any Liverpool team in any other period of the Premier League would be all over this. But if Liverpool don't do it, I won't be asked. If we did, I'd be like, oh, well, that's nice. But it's not something I would feel any sense of annoyance or heartbreak over if we missed out on Suarez on a free, whereas 5 years ago, not getting a 5-year younger Luis Suarez. I just mean getting a former club, a brilliant former club player back. Fucking hell, we wanted Gerrard back 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Just to get Gerrard back into the conversations about stuff. Yeah, no. Maybe Arsenal will buy him for just £1. Yeah. Oh my God, I would be here all day for him getting a lifetime ban from football when he bites someone to try and get out of Arsenal after one season. I could very much live with that.
Yeah.
Anyone else on that list, Ben? Of Rakitic, Vidal, and Umtiti that you would have a look at, though?
I've always liked Rakitic. I think he's a really good player, really energetic, really smart. He scores in the 2015 Champions League final, but obviously he's done loads since then. I think I think a couple of years ago, absolutely. But once again, I mean, I don't know how old he is now. How old is Rakitic? He is 32. So obviously, for me, a couple of years ago, again, if he's
all over him.
Yeah, he has. I think
if
you're looking Serie A. he's got Inter Milan written all over him because they're taking everybody that's a little bit past it. I think he'll be.
Yeah.
if you're looking at him when he's sort of Thiago's age, then absolutely. But even the last couple of seasons have been brilliant for Barcelona. But I think he's been one of them players that has been fantastic to watch. And I think if you got a few of those performances out of him in a Liverpool shirt, that wouldn't go amiss for me. But I think he's out of any of them, he's the one I'd go for. But even him, I'm not sure he adds much now to the squad and the midfield that we've already got.
Yeah, I think but Rakitic and Vidal are probably... Well, Rakitic's definitely got Serie A written all over him. I mean, given that Chelsea surely can't buy any more players. If they get Havertz and Chilwell and Thiago Silva over the line, and they can't, because Rakitic would be a proper Chelsea signing. Umtiti is a proper Everton signing.
Yeah, fourth choice centre half.
Yeah. I think it's just
years old.
I don't know if he's any good. That's the problem. I know he's been at Barcelona. It doesn't matter to Everton. That's the thing. That's why he's an Everton.
Did you see that thing going around WhatsApp on Friday night when the Europa League final was going on? Oh, let me grab this. Carry on talking while I grab this. This was belter.
Yeah, the Umtiti stuff is like I'm aware of him. I know I've had him in countless Pro Evo games, and I've had him in various situations because he's a centre half who's been at Barcelona for a while. But I don't know. It's like Yerry Mina was a good example of this, wasn't it, Ben? Is that being at Barcelona is enough due diligence for football teams of a certain level to go, well, if he's good enough for Barcelona, he's good enough for our shit club, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Look at Gerard Deulofeu as well. I mean, he was supposed to be all the rave when he arrived, wasn't he? So, yeah. Look, I don't know. I don't know much about Umtiti. I know, is he French? Is he? I think.
Yeah.
So he's been in a few French sides. He's got a funny name. Other than that, I don't know anything about him.
He's all right. He's all right. Like, he's not. I wouldn't say he was world class, but on a free transfer.
Yeah, Barcelona don't get rid of Barcelona, who have Gerard Piqué, who's 7,000 years old, who are looking to rebuild their defence. Don't let 26-year-old centre halves go on a free unless they're just like, yeah, you're not the answer, mate. You're not the answer.
Right. So this tweet that was going around the other night. Inter's lineup cost 180 million in transfer fees, starting lineup. Sevilla's lineup cost 102.5 million. That's a total cost of 282.5 million. Sigurdsson, Walcott, Tosin, Schneiderlin, Balassi, Klaasen, Gomez, Iwobi, Pickford, Mina and Keane, 11 Everton players, cost a total of 289 million. £6.5 million more than Inter and Sevilla's starting lineup in the Europa League final.
I love that Davy Klaasen's thrown in there because he was just a waste of time, wasn't he? He was just absolutely useless, and I love the fact that he's been thrown into that tweet. That's brilliant.
Yeah, was Umani Ash in there?
No,
it could have just as easily have been. Right, okay. So final topic this week coming from you, Dad. What you got?
I just wondered what people's thoughts were on the Champions League and the format we've just seen. I read an article yesterday suggesting maybe UEFA liked the fact that it was quite entertaining and there were lots of goals and all that. I'm not too sure that the Bayern-Barca scoreline didn't sway people a little bit too much. Mm-hmm. But it's an interesting idea that, from the quarters onwards, you play one-off games. I'm not sure how you would have a little tournament, excuse me, at the end of every season. Though if you were vacating two-legged games earlier in the season, maybe you could do. But what about the notion of quarterfinals and semis in neutral venues as one-off games?
I'm dying to talk on this one because I think it's a fucking shocking idea. I was doing a Twitch stream last night and you take a semi-final away from me at Anfield and I am absolutely fuming. You take an away trip at Bayern Munich away from me and I am absolutely fuming. Yes, it makes exciting football. Yes, it's slightly different, but don't we always think it's different is better? That's just like was almost hardwired into it. It was exciting. It was nice. It was something a little bit different, but it's not fair. You're taking away from the fans that put them there in the first place. You're taking games off the fans for what? For TV, for a little bit of sparkle. You don't get what happened to us in Barcelona in a two-legged tie. You're taking something else away to bring something in. Just change. If you want to do it with the Europa League. Don't shit about that.
Do you think the FA Cup semi-final should be two-legged then, so supporters have more chances?
No, fuck the FA Cup. That's a shit competition.
But they also, sorry, Ben. The FA Cup is also worse for having the semi-finals be at Wembley, for having the neutral venue thing. Go on, man.
I was just going to say, like, Chris took so many of my words out of my mouth. For me, the two-legged ties are the absolute bread and butter of European football. I think that you can't have it any other way. I love the away goal rule because of the way it can change ties so quickly in second legs. I just would be. I like the idea of some kind of tournament. They're on about a Club World Cup, aren't they? That would follow a similar format. You know, I like the idea, but I would be so disappointed if they scrap the European ties. You know, as Chris said, you know, last season you got two of the best ever European Cup semi-finals because of the two-legged format. You know, and those teams are allowed to turn it around. You know, imagine if you go away, it allows for a team like Liverpool or anybody else to recover from a bad day. You know, you go away to Barcelona and, you know, a couple of them goals, we get quite unlucky with. The second one comes off the bar and then Messi puts in a free kick and suddenly we're out of the competition. And it's like, you know, you then got your chance to go and reverse it and do, you know, and make yourselves legends like Liverpool did that night. I just think to get rid of the two-legged thing would be, I think people think that that's what they want, as Chris says, because it's different. But I think if you went a couple of seasons without it, people would miss it and want it back.
I think neutrally it makes sense because you don't have to give up 2 nights of your life to see who wins something. You know, so if you want an entertaining spectacle in a one-off form, I think it makes perfect sense for TV audiences. I think that is what it is. But it's a different competition. It's like watching the World Cup, or it's like watching, like I said, what they want to do with the Club World Cup. What you lose culturally to football by getting rid of 2 legs is the thing that's the big thing for me. Look at Liverpool Atletico, where you've got them they did the greeting, you know, and you've got like the whole way was all lit up with flares and stuff. Liverpool doing the same to Barcelona. Liverpool doing it to Manchester City. You get that, so you get to showcase your power. You get to show the world what you can do, all the things around the thing that happens on the pitch. But also look at what Liverpool, and it's why it damages us. And this isn't probably true for football fans of other football clubs and all that kind of stuff. You know, who don't get to experience these things, but going to travel to other countries and getting to soak up what you were kind of alluding to with the Bayern thing, Chris. My best away experience of football was going to the Allianz for that second half. I got to see a way of managing football and organising fans and doing that stuff. It was just a wonderful life experience to go to that game, being able to go and see different cities, meet different cultures, steal songs from the continent and all that. Fans are still going to be able to do their own thing, and think football will always shift and it will always adapt, and you could have a variation on it, but it's never quite the same. You know, just getting to each city, getting the chance to show what it can do and it over these things, I think is a wonderful thing that would be lost if you got rid of the 2-legged format.
I mean, you would still add 2 legs early on. You wouldn't. It would only be the last. Yeah, but playing devil's advocate, it would also get rid of the away goal stuff. It would take away the advantage that the second leg teams have because you play extra time on your own stadium and all the rest of it. Having said that, I'm totally in agreement. Some of the best football matches I've seen in my life have been quarterfinals and semi-finals of European Cups. So I think it's nonsense as well, but I can see the powers that be who don't think like us could see attractions in it, you know.
There's something maybe it's the way around. I'd play the games that don't matter at neutral venues. You know what I mean? The Europa League, Chris said it there. The round of 32. I mean, my good God. The round of 32 and the round of 16 of the Europa League, they're just like, oh my God, they're just annoying. Just like, get out, just go, get out the way, get through these. You know, they're just things that have to be done. I mean, look, getting rid of the two-legged format in the League Cup semi-final for this season is an inevitable and brilliant move in that regard, because it sounds counterintuitive that we should be able to say I really enjoy two-legged things in this regard, but in that is for the benefit that gives. There's not enough benefit.
I actually hate change, so I wouldn't want to change it. But I'm so hating of change that I'd really like to go back to only champions should be in the Champions League. That would be much more.
Starting this year.
But the thing that's annoying, the thing that's wrong with the Champions League is not the quarters and the semis. It's the group stage. The group stage is boring. But that's done because that's just done as a money-making exercise. That's just done so you can guarantee that even if Barcelona have an absolute stinker, you get to televise 6 Barcelona games, and you get your TV audiences and your sponsorships and all that kind of stuff. I find it worrying. But hopefully, once that they do that new Club World Cup format, it will satiate everyone's need for something like that at least. Until UEFA go, oh no, we really like that, and they'll eventually.
Well, actually, they're also under threat from this continued European Super League thing, aren't they? And if there's any thoughts of a breakaway from the big clubs, UEFA are going to be doing anything they can to try and offset it.
I think they're also, this is a bit of a mad point, but I think they're also under threat from just the way the world's going in general. I mean, I know, I talk about the NFL a lot on here, but I think there are some good tangents to be done. They're trying to shorten the games in the NFL because they're too long for young audiences, and young audiences don't seem to care for a 4-hour-long game. A little bit different with football, but when everyone's got so much that they can do nowadays and shift of focus, and they've got phones and they do all this, actually, to keep the sparkle in the game and to keep fans interested, maybe they just want a few less games. Now, that seems mad because they also just want all the games. They want the games, but they want to make them exciting in those games to keep the audiences.
To have bigger goals because we've now had bigger goalkeepers.
Yeah, it's true.
Americans don't listen to anything the Americans do.
You're right. There's very much that thing at the moment, and it'll be a conversation because everyone was so blown away with that, the single leg form, because it was a very exciting way to do things, but it's and the thing because it means everyone goes absolutely hell for leather for it and stuff, and I agree, but that doesn't stop. I think that changes in that it's a unique environment. I mean, the final ended 1-0. That I think if you'd seen if we'd seen something mad on that, I think it would have almost been inevitable because someone would have gone, "We've cracked this," or "We've definitely cracked this now." But I think when you have it all or nothing, I just think it's an exceptional set of world circumstances. It wouldn't be that normally, because if you had it during the season, because you've still got to go and play your league game at the weekend, or you've still got to play, you've still got other games of football to play. Barcelona, or Bayern Munich were just ready. They geared themselves up for this to be able to throw absolutely everything at it to make sure that they won it, unlike any other situation they've ever been in before. I'm not sure that happens in the real world because it just can't. So it's an interesting one though. Very, very, very interesting one indeed. We've got a question to wrap us up. Quinton Jansen, I'm going to tie this into the Champions League conversation, I think, because I think it'd be interesting, because obviously, as you say, we don't know when the Champions League draw is just yet, and hopefully by the time the Champions League kicks off, there's a chance we will be allowed back in stadium as well, which would be great. But Quinton Jansen asks, a destination, city or country that you still want to visit, Chris?
Not non-football, it's New Zealand. I don't know why, it's just a country that I've wanted to go to for absolutely ages. Looks amazing. They've clearly got a really good Prime Minister as well. She's right on the ball, and it's just a well-run country with nice people and stuff. So and look, absolutely amazing stuff that you can do there. I think from a destination city or footballing thing, maybe not as easy for Liverpool fans to go to, but I think I'd love to see Juve live and in their stadium, as I would have loved to watch the game in the San Siro against AC Milan. Those are the two big ones for me.
Yeah, Ben.
I was just about to say Dortmund actually, because obviously I've not done much of Germany, but I was robbed of seeing Inter Milan in the San Siro in February because of the blinking virus all kicking off. I was out there and suddenly it was cancelled. So actually, the San Siro, because that's going to go, isn't it? They're going to demolish that and rebuild a new one. So I'd definitely like to get back out there to see a game, preferably with AC. Actually, I think that's interesting because I think some people have. Some people lean towards more AC and more Inter. I lean to. I think because of the history that we've got with the AC Milan and the great size that we played and obviously beat once. I've got more of a liking for AC. I'd quite like to go watch them in the San Siro before that goes as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Dad, what about you?
I have two, which are places I'd like to visit. Excuse me. Japan being, one of them, with totally different culture. That's on my list. The other one, and it would do as a football one as well, as Argentina.
Wow.
I really love to go to Buenos Aires and see it's a very sort of Italian culture, even though they all speak Spanish.
Yeah.
And of course, they're all football mad.
Yeah, I would love to go and do a Club World Cup in a South American, in a major South American football hotspot. Would be absolutely amazing. But just on the European stuff, I missed out on the Dortmund stuff in the Europa League. I'd love to go and see that, just to see that in the flesh. See Liverpool go there, particularly now that we're at the peak of our powers. It'd be lovely to go and see that in the flesh. Let me know yours in the comments if you're watching this live. If you're listening after the fact, unlucky. Just shout it out, scream it, open your back door and just shout it into the back garden. Yes, we've got loads of stuff coming up for you. We have got the Reds Transfer Roundup show, which I've mentioned already. So yes, for your club captain and club legend, YouTube members, that will be live for you following on from this live podcast, or available on demand after the fact. Do go over to the redmentv.com, though, I can't stress this enough, and go and watch our 3-part season documentary. It's absolutely brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Saz really raised the bar on that, and there's some great stuff, additional stuff around there to keep you fully occupied as we gear up towards another magnificent season supporting your mighty Reds. Yes, other than that, thank you very much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it at home, watching and listening. And thanks very much to the wonderful cameo star of this, of course, Kat. And we'll be back with another podcast next week.